Hi, Chimwemwe. Can I get the confirmation that I can get us started?
Yes, we are live now. You can go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Chimwemwe. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone who's joined the call. Thank you very much for making the time to be with us today for this information session. My name is Sepiso. I am the program manager of the program, the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program at the University of Oxford. And on this call, I'll be joined by a few colleagues from different universities, also part of the Mastercard Foundation network. We'll have Ian from the University of Cambridge, Faithy from the University of Edinburgh, and Suraya from the University Sciences Po, who'll join us shortly. What we want to do for this info session today is to just give a brief overview of the various opportunities available within our institutions, within our scholars program. So we will go through the different universities' specific programs, their requirements, their eligibility criteria, etc. And we'll try and provide basic information and signpost you on where you'll be able to get more comprehensive information about the scholarship opportunities available within our various institutions. So just before we get started, all of these scholars programs are possible because of the support and the partnership that we all have with the Mastercard Foundation. And you will see as we go through the presentation, we'll share a little bit more about the Mastercard Foundation and how the values of the foundation translate into the different programs that we run within the institutions. Before I get started as well, I want to say a massive thank you to all the people who have worked hard in organizing this webinar and making it possible. Primarily, thank you very much to Chimwemwe, who is the communications officer here at Oxford, who has worked very hard on setting up the live streams, the Zooms, the posters, and all the emails that you've been receiving about this info session. So as we go, it might be a lot of information to receive within an hour and a half. So we'll send the link to this live stream to you all so you can come back and refer to it. And we'll also give clear instructions on where you can get more information. I see Soraya from Sciences Po has also joined us. She'll be one of our speakers today. I'll quickly run through the agenda for the program. So we will start with the University of Edinburgh, and then we'll go to Cambridge, Sciences Po, and Oxford. Mind you that we'll all have just about 10 minutes to go through the entire program, so it might not be comprehensive, but we got all the questions that you submitted when you were filling in the registration forms, and we'll be mindful to answer those questions as we're going through the call. However, if you feel like there are questions that you still don't have answers to, or you can't find the answers on our website, please post them, and Chimwemo will be manning the live stream and we'll share those questions with us and we'll be able to answer them during the Q&A. So do listen to all the presentations, write down your questions, see if they have been answered, see if you'd like more answers, and also take a note of the fact that we'll share all this information so you can also digest it. I think I will stop there and ask my fellow panelists if there's any other things that they'd like to mention before we get started. No? Okay, I see a lot of heads shaking no, so I'm assuming that we can get started with that. Faithy, I'll let you go first. I'll try and be strict with the time, but I'll be a bit flexible, but please do let me know if you need a bit more time and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Sepiso. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening from where you're joining us from. Thank you for joining this session today. My name is Faithy Gaira, and I work as the recruitment coordinator for the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program here at the University of Edinburgh. The University of Edinburgh is located in Scotland, which is part of the UK, and we are right in the middle of the city of Edinburgh, which is a city of Scotland as well. So the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program at the university has been running for the last 10 years right now. So our first phase was from 2016 to 2022. And in that phase, we provided scholarships for undergraduate and postgraduate students. Our second phase started in 2023 and it's going to end in 2030. And in this phase, we are providing 850 scholarships to young people from the African continent to study various postgraduate opportunities, postgraduate programs, all under the theme of climate change and sustainability. So this theme, the focus on this theme is very strategic because currently we are living in a situation where we are seeing the impacts of climate change, not just on our continent but just globally. And so our mission as a scholars program in Edinburgh is to equip young people with skills and knowledge to address the impacts of climate change and promote sustainability. So one of the ways we do this is by providing scholarships to these degrees that have been listed here. We do have the online postgraduate programs and we have the on-campus postgraduate programs. So if you look at our on-campus programs, which is a one-year program, you will notice that they are all directly or just indirectly related to sustainability. So these are the only programs we provide in scholarships for, and this is a one-year master's program. On the other hand, we have the online postgraduate programs. So what I mean by online is that students on these programs can study from anywhere in the world, literally. So when it comes to the online programs, we have two routes. You can either study for a master's or you can study for a diploma. So the master's program is part-time and it's run over 3 years. And the diploma program is 2 years, also part-time. You might be wondering what the difference between the master's and the diploma is. So, well, the first difference is that the master's is 3 years and the diploma is 2 years. But at the same time, students doing a master's focus on a dissertation project in their last year. However, those doing a diploma would only focus on doing coursework for a couple of years. Next slide, please. So last month we launched applications to our scholarship program on the 14th of October, and we'll be closing on the 21st of November, which is just 2 weeks from now. However, another important deadline to take note of is the 14th of November. So our scholarship program, application process has two stages. The first stage is the eligibility and declaration stage, and the second stage is the main application stage. So we require applicants to complete the eligibility and declaration stage by the 14th of November. And all those who would have completed and moved to the main application will have a week to submit the application. And so our final deadline is the 21st of November. We do encourage applicants to apply to the scholarship only. That is, if the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is the only one you're interested in applying at the University of Edinburgh. However, if you're applying to other scholarships at the university, for example, Chevening or Commonwealth, then in that case, we'd encourage you to also apply to your degree program. But again, just to reiterate, if the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is the only scholarship you're interested in, then apply to the scholarship only. We have an application platform called SM Apply, and this is the platform we use to receive all applications. We don't receive applications outside this platform. When it comes to eligibility criteria, all applicants, all those who apply to us must be 35 years or below at the time when they start their degrees with us. And also, applicants must qualify academically for admission to the University of Edinburgh. Usually, this will be a second-class upper division, but at the same time, we'll encourage you to check the university website for the entry requirements of the different countries. All those who have been successful for the scholarship, and again, this will be from February next year, are going to be notified and Only if you receive a scholarship, then you will be invited to apply to your degree program. So at the moment, our timelines are like this. So final deadline is 21st of November, and then we'll spend December and January going through reading the applications. And then from mid of February towards the end of February, we'll provide feedback to all who applied to us. Another important thing to note is that applicants must be nationals living in African countries. We also encourage applications from women, young people from refugee and displaced backgrounds, as well as young people living with disability. And finally, our scholarship, when our scholarship covers the following items. So first of all, we provide full funding for tuition fees. We also have the Climate Leadership Program, to which all our scholars are expected to participate in. Besides that, we provide professional, academic, and pastoral support. Every scholar has a mentor to journey with them as they think about exploring the world of work or entrepreneurship. And we also have a dedicated transitions coordinator who supports scholars as they think about transition. So this is all about the University of Edinburgh. I'll stop here, but we do have more comprehensive information on our website, and you can access this by just Googling Mastercard Foundation University of Edinburgh. Thank you, Sepiso.
Thank you very much, Faithy. We appreciate that overview. As I mentioned, please do keep the questions coming, and Chimwemwe, as well as all of us, will be monitoring them, and we'll be able to go into them during the Q&A. In the interest of time, I think let's just go ahead with the next presentations and we'll answer all the questions together. And next on the line is Ian from the University of Cambridge. So Ian, I'll pass it to you for the rest of the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sepiso, and thank you, Faithy. So my name's Ian. I'm the Communications Coordinator for the Scholars Program here in Cambridge. So I'm going to give you a pretty quick overview of the program and the application process. But yes, as Faithy said, there's lots more information on our site as well. So let's get started, please. So our program was established in 2022. So it's one of the more recent programs to be set up. And we are on our 4th cohort of scholars in Cambridge at the moment, if you can skip on one, Sepiso. So these guys arrived at the end of September, before courses started in October. And we've got 69 scholars in Cambridge at the moment, representing 18 different countries and studying, I think, 41 different courses. So we're really proud of the kind of diversity of this group, both in terms of countries represented, but also the expertise and perspectives that they bring to Cambridge as well. Next one, please. So our program is master's courses only. So only postgraduate courses. And our program themes are climate resilience and sustainability, much like Edinburgh. But I just wanted to give some reassurance on these themes that, again, we've had scholars studying something like 45 different courses already. So we aim to approach these courses, these themes in a very kind of broad way and approach them from all angles. So please don't think that if you're not planning to study conservation or something with sustainability in the course title, for example, that you're not eligible. You can generally apply for most of the master's courses, the full-time master's courses available in Cambridge. There are a few exceptions to that, which I'll come on to in a minute. Thank you. So yeah, what's covered? So we aim to cover everything that you need to thrive and to enjoy your time here and really get the most out of it. So that's the big expenses, things like the course fee and the monthly living allowance, but also some of those slightly smaller costs like travel to and from the airport. So yeah, it's a fully funded opportunity. But if you do plan to apply and you get a place and you come to Cambridge, I think we all like to think of this as so much more than just a scholarship, because there are lots of opportunities to learn and grow more broadly. So you will be joining a network of young African leaders, and you will form really close bonds with some of your peers during your year here. And that kind of process begins during an orientation to life in Cambridge, which happens at the end of September, again, before courses start in October. Then when the academic year starts, there are monthly socials. There's a weekend retreat in January, so an opportunity to get outside of Cambridge and see another part of the UK as well. And yeah, lots and lots of opportunities to kind of build those connections and network too. So second, leadership and helping scholars develop their leadership skills is a real focus of the program in Cambridge. So there are termly leadership modules. We work with the Cambridge Institute for Sustainability Leadership to deliver this program, and it's specifically targeted on leadership in the African context. So you'll get to explore your own leadership skills and preferences and styles, and get to develop those while you're here. Third, then, so we aim to provide support for scholars who either already have their own social venture or plan to set one up. So there is training on entrepreneurship throughout the year, and then there's also an entrepreneurship competition, and you can win some quite sort of significant pots of funding for your venture if you enter that. And then finally, planning for life after Cambridge and after graduation is another really important component. So we'll encourage you to start thinking about what's next from pretty much day one when you arrive. Time passes incredibly quickly, and we know that scholars can be, scholars are grateful that they started thinking about that from the very start. So whether you plan to go straight into the world of work, whether you want to do a placement or further study, we can help you kind of plan for that and have a plan in place by the time you get to graduation day. So yeah, a very, very quick look at the application process, and this differs from the Edinburgh process in quite a significant way, in that the application for the Scholars Program is built into your chosen courses application. So there isn't a separate application for the Scholars Program. It's built into your main course application. So the first step then is to use our postgraduate study course directory to have a look for a course that you want to study and make sure that the course you intend to study is available at Cambridge. So you can filter this directory based on course level. So I've got master's courses selected there. I've selected all because both taught and research courses are eligible. And then full-time, because it has to be a full-time master's course up to 12 months to be eligible for this program. So when you've done that, you've chosen your course, you will open your application, and as part of that application, you will see the scholarship statement. So you're asked, the way it works is that you're asked if you wish to opt in for university funding, and then if you do, you're offered the different opportunities, funding opportunities that you are eligible for. So you'll see the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program in that list. And that's when you'll be asked to provide a 2-page document explaining your career or education history, how the scholarship will contribute to your trajectory, and how you hope to contribute to the scholarship goals of sustainable futures in Africa. So this then is your opportunity to link your chosen course and your plans to the program themes of climate resilience and sustainability. And again, we encourage you to think about those concepts broadly and think about what a sustainable future means for your chosen profession. So what does it mean for an engineer? What does sustainability mean for a doctor, a teacher? And think about it in that way. So aside from making that link to the program themes, we really want to hear about your leadership potential. And that's not necessarily direct leadership experience. You can talk about responsibilities you've held or projects that you've led outside of your studies. And then we also want to hear about your plans. So what do you want to go and do after Cambridge, and how will this experience help you do that? And then ultimately, how will your work create a ripple effect that benefits other people? Thank you. So just finished with 3 of the questions that were asked most frequently. So let's get into these. So which courses can I apply for? As I mentioned, any full-time master's course of up to 12 months, apart from these 4. So these are the only exceptions. Any other master's course is eligible. Do I need proof of English language proficiency? The short answer is yes. For the vast majority of applicants, you do need to provide evidence. There is an exception, but it only applies to a very small number of people who've recently studied in what UK Visas and Immigration call a List A country, and there are no African countries on that list, unfortunately. So it's the States and a handful of countries in the Caribbean and Central America, but otherwise you will need to provide English language proficiency evidence. So the good news is you don't need to provide that to apply. So this comes later. If you do apply and you haven't already provided that, you'll receive a conditional offer if you are offered a place. Then you'll have until the 31st of July to provide that evidence. So you can, it's by no means a barrier to applying. If that's you, you're offered a place and you don't have IELTS and you haven't provided that evidence yet, we can help you get that in the form of sharing study materials and helping cover the cost of taking the test. There is a third option too, which is the Cambridge Language Centre assessment. And that's something that your department or course will direct you to if you've been offered a place and you haven't yet given this proof of English language proficiency. Thank you. Yeah, final one then. Can I apply for multiple courses? Technically, yes, but we really wouldn't recommend it. No, the application process is long and demanding, and there's lots of evidence that you're required to provide. So our recommendation there is to decide which course you're really best suited to and make that one application as strong as you possibly can. The only other thing to say on that is that you will only receive one application fee waiver. So there is a fee of £85 now to apply for a master's course at Cambridge. All eligible applicants who apply for our program will have that waived. You won't have to pay that as long as you're meeting your chosen course's entry requirements. But if you do choose to apply for multiple courses, then you'll have to pay for that third one or second one, third one, and so on. Thank you. I hope that was helpful. That was an incredibly quick spin through the program and how to apply. There is, of course, lots more information on the website. That should be your first port of call for any questions, please. If you can't find what you're after, then there's an applications email address there too. So we're also running another series of webinars, and we've got our final webinar on Tuesday, the 11th. So if you're considering applying for the Cambridge program, please do scan that QR code and come along to find out more. We'll give you a bit more detail. And then the other QR code is the Postgrad study website, and that's where you can find more information on courses, the supporting documents that you'll need to apply, and everything else you'll need. Thank you, Sapiso.
Thank you very much, Annie. That was very helpful. Lots of information for the students. And thanks for also providing the QR codes. I think it's a nice way to grab this information while the call is still going on. And if you haven't been able to scan the two codes, we'll share the link to this live stream so you will be able to get it from there. Now, let's move on to our third institution, and I'll welcome Soraya from Sciences Po to present about the program in France.
Thank you very much, Sapiso. Good afternoon to everyone. I am Soraya Lukaku. I'm in charge of communication, events, and outreach at Sciences Po for the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program. So here we go. Just first information, Sciences Po is a university that is located in France, in Paris. So we are at the very heart of Paris. As our colleagues from the different institutions, we provide access to our school through the Mastercard Foundation. We are specialized in social sciences and humanities. So these are the main master's program that you can find at Sciences Po. We have 8 graduate schools that are all listed on our website. But just to give you a few examples, we have a law school, a school of management and impact, an urban school, a school of public affairs, a school of international affairs. And yes, I think I've covered them all, and a school of research as well. So in the different aspects of social sciences, you can find more than 30 master's programs on our website. What we offer in terms of support through the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program at Sciences Po is financial aid, exemption of tuition fees, monthly living stipend, helps entrance, a flight ticket to come, a computer as well to make sure that you will study in the best condition possible. This support is during 2 years of your master's degree program. So please note that the masters that are eligible are the 2 years, not the 1 years or the dual degrees, but only the 2 years of master studies. We also offer a tailored pre-departure and welcome program for our laureates, and they can benefit from a housing at the Cité Universitaire Internationale de Paris, which is in the south of Paris and very close to Sciences Po. So they don't have to look for an apartment. And trust me, it's it's a big deal to look for an apartment in Paris. Also, we offer a mentorship program with the Cercle Afrique Sciences Po alumni. So it's the African division of the Sciences Po Alumni Association. There is a support to transition to employment. We organize once a year an Africa Career Fair. So we invite Sciences Po network of employers to join this career fair and to offer some internship and first job opportunities to Sciences Po students. So obviously our scholars are invited and they can have interviews during this career fair. Also, we offer individual session during the semester, during the year, but each semester to discuss career opportunities. We also have cover letter and resume workshops, and in general, access to Sciences Po's employers network. So when you come to Sciences Po, you truly join an international network of young African leaders, because in our school, we have a lot of events during the year, events that are related to global issues at different levels, but also related to the African continent. And we encourage our scholars to take part in these different events. For instance, last year, one of our scholars took part, two of them actually took part in the Africa Day, and they were selected to attend an event with the French President Emmanuel Macron. This year, we had a scholar who moderated a panel discussion on leadership for women, and she was also invited to a gala at the Quai d'Orsay, so the Ministry of Foreign Affairs palace. And you can see on the screen that she was with very high level people, including the singer Davido. Also last year, we had two scholars who took part in the African Financial Summit in Casablanca, Morocco. So we encourage our scholars to take part in this kind of events to increase their network and to just make the most of the experience at Sciences Po. In terms of post-university transition rates, we are quite proud to say that 98% of our students of the program graduated within time, that 91% of them found employment within 18 months of graduating, and that 50% of the students found fulfilling professional opportunities, could be internship or employment on the African continent in the different fields. In terms of eligibility criteria, they're quite similar to our partners, but I will insist on maybe some very specific things related to Sciences Po, in particular being candidates who hold the second citizenship from a country outside the African continent are not eligible. Also, you must be enrolled or have graduated from a bachelor's degree in an institution of reference. You can find the whole list on our website. So if you are not studying or if you have not graduated from a bachelor's degree in one of these institutions, you could not be eligible for the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program at Sciences Po. And also, you must be applying for a 2 years master and meet the minimum undergraduate average grade for Sciences Po and not already hold a master's degree program. How to apply? Our application process is through one single application. So you apply for a master's degree at Sciences Po through the international graduate admission procedure. And at the end of your application for the master's program that you have chosen, you will answer 3 different questions related to the Mastercard Foundation. And we also want you to know that being admitted to Sciences Po does not guarantee the allocation of the scholarship, because if you are admitted to Sciences Po, then your application comes to the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program team. But it's in very different steps, even though it's through one single application. We also ask you to submit different documents related to your financial situation, and you can see on the screen. But in general, is payslips if you're currently working, or those from your parents or your legal guardians, or your scholarship if you are currently a student benefiting from a scholarship. And also, please note that bank statements are not accepted as proof of your financial situation. And if you don't have access to these documents, we will recommend you to contact your university or an institution that is able to attest that you have financial needs to fund your higher education. And also, you can send us an email if you have a question about the validity of your documents before uploading them. And on this page, you can find all the information about our application process for Sciences Po and the different information about the eligibility criteria and everything that you need to prepare your application. When to apply? Now we opened the application since a month, and we will receive application until 4th of January. So we encourage you to apply as soon as possible, and you will receive admission the outcome of the admission at Sciences Po between December and April, and for the scholarship, it will start in March 2026. Thank you very much for attending this session, and I hope that we will receive a lot of application from you. And please feel free to follow us on our different social media. As our partners, we will also organize different information session. It could be online and some in person, because we have 2 office representation office on the African continent, in Nairobi for East Africa, in Dakar for West Africa. So they are very available to answer any question you might have if you are around. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Soraya, for that very informative presentation. I hope all the participants are noting the slight differences within the programs that we run. And again, please do keep those questions coming. We're monitoring and we'll address them during the Q&A. And that leads us to the 4th part of the series of presentations, and I will be presenting on the Scholars Program at the University of Oxford. Great. So the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program at the University of Oxford is, as colleagues have mentioned, supported by the Mastercard Foundation. This photo that you see on the slide is from, I think, 2 years ago when we had a retreat with our scholars who had just arrived at Oxford. And what I'll do in the next few slides is share a little bit about the program itself, how to apply, and direct you to some of the links that will be helpful if you do decide to apply for the university. I won't spend too much time to outline what the university is, but the one thing I want to highlight is that Oxford has received sanctuary status, and the city itself has signed the pledge to be a city of sanctuary, a city of sanctuary. What this means is that within the university, we are committing to be an inclusive space and an open space for persons who have refugee and displaced backgrounds to come here. And we have what is called the OSC, the Oxford Sanctuary Community, which is a special group of people that organize community events as well as other engagement for students who have experienced forced displacement or any form of displacement in their past, or those who have refugee status. So it's very important for us that we make it clear that it is a place where there's a lot of support structures that will be available for candidates who have this background. Now, what is the scholarship program and what does it cover? So we provide opportunities for students who are interested in 1-year taught masters to come to Oxford. And each year there are about 70 opportunities available, 70 scholarships for in-person, and about 20 to 30 opportunities for online. And I'll come to the online section later. But we have a commitment to have at least 18 or even more of these opportunities, especially for people who come from those refugee and displaced backgrounds. And the scholarship in itself is quite comprehensive. So there's a lot of support that comes before, during, and after your time at Oxford. And it's listed there on the screen, quite similar to what our other partners are providing, but I'll highlight a few things. Once you receive an offer, before you come to Oxford, there's support that happens before then, which is we have a series of sessions that help students with that transition. So for example, if you have a young child, or for example, if you have caring responsibilities, or if you're considering applying for DPhil, which is a PhD program, we begin the engagement with the scholars before they arrive. And I've noted there that we have the Disability Advisory Service because they come as part of the onboarding session and try and offer tailored support to scholars who have disabilities in order to make sure that their transition into Oxford is quite smooth. And this continues during and after Oxford as well. Very comprehensive. The one thing I will emphasize during your time at Oxford is we have a leadership and impact program which enables students to co-share and co-learn transformative leadership skills. And this is a flagship program that runs throughout the year. There's a series of sessions, guest speakers, as well as workshops that we plan for students to continue to develop that leadership capacity amongst our scholars. And again, we encourage students who have disabilities to apply for this program, as we have the Disability Advisory Services, as well as colleagues within the team who are able to support and make the experiences of all our scholars as pleasant as possible and as comfortable as possible. And then the final thing I want to highlight in that post-Oxford section is the Ubuntu Transitions program. Through this program, we offer students 6-month placement with an Africa-focused organization. And we provide a small stipend as well as visa and flights arrangements to enable students to be placed in an organization on the continent and to further develop the skills that they have. So for example, you come into the program, you study a master's in African studies, and you want to perhaps work in media, for example. So we will help you in identifying a partner that you could work with for 6 months after graduation to enable you to transition into that field that you're interested in going into. So our process is quite similar to Cambridge in that in that you have to apply to the university first. So notice that there's a slight difference where in other programs you apply to the scholarship first, but here you apply to get admissions to the university. And once you have that conditional or unconditional offer, then you will be invited to interview for the scholars program itself. And then from then, if you're selected, you'll be offered a scholarship. So while I say that, I know that it might sound intimidating for some people to apply to Oxford because it's a very competitive university. So I wanted to signpost two spaces where support is available. Number one, the Oxford Africa Society has a mentorship program that we support. It runs every year and they mentor hundreds of students in writing personal statements, CVs, and tailoring the applications to what colleagues at Oxford are looking for. And then if you have a displacement background, the Refugee-Led Research Hub has a graduate horizon and also mentorship program that is specifically tailored for people with refugee and displaced background. And they also help you in crafting your application. And they work for not only Oxford, but for any university that you're applying that is a Mastercard Foundation partner university. So whether that's Cambridge, Edinburgh, Sport, etc., the Refugee-Led Hub is the place where you can get support to apply to all these universities if you have that background. As I said, here I've attached here the link for all or where you can apply to the specific course that you want to apply for. And I put here a photo from one of the catch-ups that we have with our students where we're having some jollof rice and some chicken and some fried rice because it is an essential part of what we do. We want to make sure that while you're thousands of miles away from home, we still create spaces where within the hecticness of Oxford, you can still have a taste of home. You can still dance. You can still have some jollof rice. We even have fufu. I think you can see it there in the back, but just as a fun, as a fun moment as part of this hectic program that we run here. So we're looking for students who have academic potential merit. And I put lots of asterisks on this because by getting an offer to come to Oxford, you've already proven their academic merit and potential. So what the scholarship panels looks at is, do you have the leadership experience and capacity? How have you demonstrated your commitments to Africa's development? And how do you align with the values of the Scholars Program? So have a look at the Mastercard Foundation Network website, have a look at the Africa Oxford Initiative Network, which is the delivering partner for this program, and make sure that you can reflect on how the work that you're doing professionally and otherwise relates to some of the things that we're trying to do. So the one thing to note in terms of our application process is that every course at Oxford has a different deadline. So for example, if you're applying for a master's in tropical health, international health and tropical medicine versus if you're applying for African studies, they will all have different deadlines. So there isn't one deadline that I can give to you. But once you go to the course that you're applying for, please look at the funding deadline for that course. Most of these are in January and December. Most of them are actually in December than January. So do have a look at these. And once the funding deadline has passed, all those applications, unfortunately, are not considered for the scholarship. So that's a very, very important distinction to mention there. And I mentioned previously that we have the online scholars program as well. And this is specifically for postgraduate diplomas in global health research. And we have this program in order to support people who, for various reasons, cannot travel to the UK to come and study here. And specifically, we're looking at people who have caring responsibilities or people who have complex migration challenges. There are some people who might lose their status or their pathway to citizenship if they leave their country. And so we have this special program to enable students to still get an Oxford degree with an Oxford diploma without coming here. And the benefit of this program is that it combines that online learning with in-person network. So the photo that you see here was we're having a fun workshop in Kigali with some of our online scholars. And after that, we attended the conference, the Africa Health Agenda conference in Kigali. So in that program, there's opportunities for in-person engagement and there's opportunities to network with colleagues at Oxford through attending a conference, which is highly attended by individuals from Oxford. So in summary, if you are selected to be part of this scholarship, the journey will look like this. You receive a comprehensive onboarding support through our orientation, retreat, etc. You matriculate and begin your studies as an official Oxford student. There's various opportunities to catch up with the scholars. So that's where we usually have all the jollof rice and all the dancing and all the sometimes deep conversations about how are you doing, how are you feeling, how is your mental health, how are you thriving in this competitive Oxford environment. And then we have that transformative leadership program. And once you complete your graduate studies, you go then into the Ubuntu period of service, and then you join our lifelong network of alumni. Thank you very much for listening and for taking the time on a Friday evening for most of you to be in this session. And here is the link to all our socials as well as our email address where we will be able to answer further questions. So because we're at the end of the presentation, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing and then we'll start addressing some of the questions that are on the Q&A. Because I haven't been looking at the messages because I'm sharing my screen, what I'll do is I'll invite in this order Faithy, Ian, and Soraya to start answering some of the questions that have popped up in the Q&A, and then we'll continue with the discussions as it goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sepisu. Is it okay if I just read out some of the questions in the Q&A and respond to them? Oh, all right, great. Yeah. So one of the first questions actually got is, why is there an age limit for Mastercard scholarship at the University of Edinburgh? This is a very good question which we receive often. And our response to this is that the Mastercard Foundation requires us to support young African leaders. And according to the Africa Youth Charter, a young person is an individual between 15 to 35 years. And so that is why we have the age limit of 35. The other question is if someone is rejected, do you send a rejection email? Because I applied to UBC and I didn't receive an email. If you had applied to UBC, it is encouraged that you check with University of British Columbia. However, I would say for us in Edinburgh, and this could also speak to CNSPO, Oxford and Cambridge, we provide feedback to all those who apply to us. Sometimes these emails could end up in your junk or spam folder. So just check these folders in case they drop there. The other question is the scholarship funding enough for one to survive in Scotland without financial assistance from parents? Yes, the scholarship funding, the stipend provided every month is sufficient. This has been carefully reviewed so that scholars can live comfortably in Edinburgh and just in accordance to the current living standards in Edinburgh. So answer to that is yes, this funding is sufficient for one to survive. The other question, which I believe is the last one for me, is that I wanted to ask if it is possible to get assistance with the SM Apply system. So a few applicants could also be experiencing this challenge where you you ticked something in the SM Apply system and you cannot edit. So in case this has happened to you, I encourage you to email us at mcfsp@ed.ac.uk, and I'm going to rectify this mistake for you. So these are
Thanks.
4 questions I noted. Maybe hand over to you.
Yeah, sure. I'll skip through a few that I've noticed in the chat. Thanks, Faithy. So the first one was, can I apply for a 10-month program? Yes, 10-month programs are eligible. So it's any program between 9 and 12 months, full-time masters of 1 year. Do you pay for IELTS if we receive a conditional offer? Yes. We cover the cost of taking the test. We can also, if you have to travel to another country to take the test, we might be able to help with those costs as well. Why don't you offer the application fee waiver to Nigerians at Cambridge? So we do. The complication here is around the way that you access the application fee waiver. So first thing to say is that all African applicants are eligible for the application fee waiver, as long as you meet your chosen course's entry requirements. But what differs is the way that you access that fee waiver. So, and this is a new system that's been brought in this year by Cambridge. So totally understanding that it's a bit confusing. So there are a list of countries whereby you will receive that fee waiver automatically. So you just check our website, and if your country is listed, then there'll be nothing to do. That will automatically be applied during your application, and you just won't be asked to pay anything. And again, check the website for that list to see if your country's on it. If you're from an African country which isn't on that list, you can still access it, but you'll just need to apply for the application fee waiver. And you'll do that. The directions to do so are on our website again, but it involves submitting a short form, attaching your transcript, your passport copy, and getting that in. And then you will be, you'll be granted that application fee waiver as well. Something I did want to say on that is that we have a deadline coming up for applying for that application fee waiver, which is the 15th of November. So if you are planning to apply for Cambridge, what we recommend is that you just open your application, and after you've opened your application, which literally means opening up, setting up an account on the portal, submit your application fee waiver request soon. And then that's done. And then you'll have until the course's funding deadlines to apply. But the deadline for applying for the application fee waiver is the 15th of November. So please do get that in if you're planning to apply. Hopefully that was clear, but there is more information on our website if not. Kenya. I'm from Kenya. Do I need to provide proof of English language proficiency? Yes, you do. So there was a question around applying for one course. So I think this was my guidance around applying for one course at Cambridge if you plan to apply. So our recommendation is that you choose one course at Cambridge and apply for that and make that one application as strong as possible. That doesn't mean, of course, that you can't apply for other programs. Like the guys on this call, you might well want to apply for other universities. That's fine. Covered the application fee waiver. I think the final one was, can a student apply to both the scholarship and the admission, or do you do that separately? So just to clarify that, you apply for your chosen course at Cambridge. You apply for admission to Cambridge, and the scholarship application is built into that application. So as part of your main course application, you'll just need to fill in a scholarship statement. Great. Shall I pass on to you, Soraya? Have you got a few you'd like to answer?
Yes. Thank you very much, Ian. So I have one question that I see in the accepted institution of application. The graduate horizon is mentioned as a bridging program. I am currently enrolled in this mentorship program. Does this make me eligible? It makes that you can be eligible. You're not directly eligible because you have to meet all the criteria, but it's one of the eligibility criteria. Then there was another question that I think I answered during the presentation. It was regarding students with a refugee background. We have a list of financial documents, but if you do not have access to some of them, and if you are a student with a refugee or displaced background, you are invited to submit in this section a document or certificate that indicates your situation, your refugee status. That's the only two on my end. Oh no, I see another one. In Nigeria, who else can we prove lack of funds since bank statements are not accepted to Sciences Po? There is, as I said, different documents. So if you are working, your pay slips, if your parents are working, their pay slips or tax incomes, if you're a scholarship if you're receiving a scholarship, then a scholarship certificate. And if you do not have access to any of these documents, we encourage you to maybe to reach out to your university that can make a certificate indicating that you have a need for higher education fundings. For Sciences Po, since there is no separate essay for the scholarship, do I write about the reason I want the scholarship in the course application essay? Yes. So in your master's application, there is a section for the scholarship. So you will find it directly when you will apply for the master's program. It will be at the end of your application. And also you will receive an application fee waiver if you have filled all the sections that are mandatory. I think I've covered all the questions for Sciences Po so far.
Thank you very much, Soraya. Appreciate that. I will take a stab at answering all the questions directed to Oxford, and then maybe we'll do another round in the same order because the questions keep coming in. So please do keep sending the questions. We're monitoring them, and we will try our best to go through all of them. All right, there's quite a few questions on Oxford, so I will start with the most recent one, which is somebody noticed that is asking if all the programs are related to climate change and sustainability, and the answer is no. So different universities work under different collaboratives. In our case at Oxford, you can apply for any one-year masters. So we have students who are doing, let's say, tropical health, medicine. There's other people who are doing more in the humanities and the social sciences, African studies, etc. So you can do any one master's course, and the universities that have specific list of courses or specific limitations have outlined them in the slide deck that they've provided. And for the people who have applied for the African Society Mentorship Program, they receive about 1,500 applications every year. And so they're going through all the applications and they will get back to the successful individuals as soon as possible. If you're not selected to be part of the mentorship, they will still send you some information to help you tailor your application. So it won't be either you zero, it won't be that you get nothing from them. There'll be an opportunity to engage in also some of the webinars that they hold, and they'll share some materials for people who haven't made it to the mentorship program. I'm not sure when the results will come in, but they usually try and get them as soon as possible. There's people who are asking about the list of partners for Ubuntu. There's a reason why we don't put them on the website, because every year we have new partners. And so it will be, the list is determined on a year-by-year basis. So I won't be able to completely outline which partners will be available for the people who are applying for the class of 2026-27. What we have is the list of people that we currently have right now. So I won't be able to share that because we haven't yet confirmed the list for 2026-27. There's a question about, can someone apply for the postgraduate diploma in global health if they're above 35 years? And the answer is we're not able to set an age limit, because we're not able to do that at Oxford, to set an age limit for applicants. So we encourage all applicants to apply for the programs that are available at the university. There's a question with regards to whether we have online PhD scholarships. This is something that I wish we had, but at the moment we do not have. And we're hoping that at some point in the future, either through the Mastercard Foundation or through other funders, the Africa Oxford Initiative is able to offer these scholarships. But at the moment, we do not have funding for online PhD programs, or for many PhD programs for that matter. On the issue of English language, what I would advise people who are thinking of applying to Oxford is just get your admissions to Oxford, get that conditional offer. Once you get the conditional offer and you compete for the scholarship, we will support our students to get through that hurdle of the English language. So there's various ways. There's a pre-sessional English course. We'll provide funding for people to do the English tests, and we'll support you in that journey. You won't be doing that alone. Just at this moment, just focus on getting that admission and focus on preparing yourself for the scholarship interview as well. There's a question on, for Oxford, should we tailor the essay to the degree program or to the scholarship program? My advice is, think of it as two steps. The first step, you are getting into Oxford. So tailor that application you're writing to get into the specific course you're applying for. And once you get that course, then when you're interviewing for the scholarship, then you can tailor your responses to the scholarship program itself. And again, there was another question with regards to, somebody was saying it's a bit confusing to understand the two-step process. I do understand that, to be honest, because every university that has shared today has a completely different process, and it might not be possible to grasp all the various nuances of all programs during this call, but all of us have outlined the steps in our website, and you'll be able to get more information. But if you're to think about Oxford, think about it in this way. There's 2 steps. Step number 1, get into Oxford. Once you get into Oxford, you don't have to do anything. We will contact you to tell you, hey, you are eligible for this scholarship. Here are the steps that you need to take. So there isn't any other separate thing that you need to do for the scholarship until you're prompted to do so. And we will, every offer holder who is eligible, i.e., who's an African national who is eligible for this program, will receive an email from us without doubt about the next steps to compete for the scholarship. I saw a question as well about they didn't see the list of university in the Oxford application portal. There's an option to pick other, and if that doesn't work, please just contact the admissions team and they'll be able to advise you further. I think not all universities are listed, not all universities are known, and so there is an option to click other and to enter that in the text directly. And then finally, before I pass it back to Faithy for another round of these answers, there was a question on fee waiver for refugees. So we do provide fee waivers, but these are provided through the mentorship program. So that's why I very much highlighted that mentorship program. However, if you are signposted to us by the Refugee-Led Research Hub, there's other ways that we can support students from refugee and displaced background who face that barrier because of the application fee. The one thing that I would ask people on this call to note is that there's so many countries that are exempt from the application fee at Oxford. So, for example, if you're from Malawi, or there's a lot of countries that you don't have to pay the application fee if you're from a low income country, and the university has its own way of evaluating this. So not everyone will be required to pay that application fee. So even through the mentorship program, you might be in the mentorship program and you might not even need the fee waiver itself because your country doesn't require it. There might be some questions that I have missed, so I'll read through the questions one more time while Faithy, Ian, and Sarai do a second round of answers, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you very much, colleagues. Faith, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Sepiso. I'm just looking through to see if there's any that's been unresponded to. Another question about English language. As Sepiso has pointed out, we have different approaches to applications, and just maybe to right on what you're speaking about English language. Again, a few of you have asked whether an English language test is a requirement to apply to the scholarship in Edinburgh. So at this stage, English language test is not a requirement. And if you are selected for the scholarship and it happens that either your institution, your undergraduate institution, or your country falls in the category of those that needs to provide an English language test, then as a scholars program, we're going to support you to sit one of those tests. Currently, we're working with a partner called Oxford ELLT, and they do provide online testing platforms. This is what we are likely to recommend to you. Another question that I just saw in passing is around whether if one has a master's, can still apply for a master's in Edinburgh. So when it comes to our scholarship in Edinburgh, if you have a master's already from any institution, you will not be eligible to apply to any of our master's program, either on campus or online. However, if you are keen about studying for a postgraduate diploma and you already have a master's, then you'll be welcome to apply to that. So just to make it clear, if you have a master's, you can apply for a master's, but you could be eligible to apply to the postgraduate diploma. Let me check. Another question is around the Okay, this question, I'm just going to read it out loud. So the question is, the University of Edinburgh admission portal screens applicants for eligibility before the start of the application even. Do I have a chance to apply with unclassified degree at second class lower CGPA? So our scholarship is very competitive, and for this reason, we would only take applicants who have second class upper division and above. And again, as I mentioned, different countries, the university has stated different entry requirements for different countries. So it will be great that you check for this on the website. So unfortunately, we can't be flexible when it comes to second class lower degrees, even with professional experience. Yeah, those are the 3 questions I've noted, but I'll still read through. Ian, do you see any question that you wanna?
Yes, yeah, I do. Thank you, Faithy. So yeah, first couple are again on IELTS. So if someone has an undergrad degree from the UK, do they still have to take IELTS to get into the Cambridge program? No, I don't think you do. Another one, IELTS. If my undergrad degree was in English, do I still have to provide proof of English language proficiency? Yes, you do, unless you're from the UK or one of the countries on the list B list, so the US or from the Caribbean or Central America. So generally, yes, you do. If it's from an African country, even though your degree was in English, you'll still have to provide that proof. Next up was Ubuntu period of service. So good question. No, it works differently in Cambridge. So we don't have the same Ubuntu period of service elements to the program. Instead, we aim to support scholars whichever route they choose to take after their masters. So whether that's further study, placement, or full-time employment. So if, for example, you want to take up a placement, then we can you can either find your own or we can help you find one, working with some of the partners that we have. And if you do take up an unpaid placement or a very low paid placement, for example, we can offer financial support as well for a period of time during that placement. I think there was one or two more. So tailoring application to the program themes. Yes. So when I was talking about tailoring your application or making the link between your chosen course and the program themes, I was talking specifically about the scholarship statement. So this is the bit when you apply for the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, not your course application. You don't need to talk about those themes within your main course application. Final one, where can I get more information regarding the faculty and program modules for the Cambridge program? So all of that is on the postgraduate study course directory. So if you click into each course, you'll see the full course profile with the different modules within that, your methods of learning, course length, everything you'll need. I think that's everything. There's one more here. For the Cambridge application fee waiver request form, can you explain the question on what is the overall result of your degree in your country? Okay, so I think this is about essentially translating your qualifications to the UK level. So we offer something called the International Qualifications Checker on our website. And again, we link to that from the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program website. So that's about putting in your country, and then in the drop down, you'll see the different equivalents to your country's qualifications and how they compare to either a UK first class degree or a high second class degree, which is generally what's required for a master's in Cambridge. So that is asking for the UK equivalent of your education, your qualifications. I think that's me. Over to you, Soraya.
I don't see any further questions from me.
I think there was one, let me read it for you. It says, if my guardian and I don't have proof of payslip because we do not have formal jobs, what can we use as proof of financial need?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying before. Then you should turn to either your university or a local or regional or national authority of your country that is able to attest of your financial situation. That's the only, I think.
Thank you very much, Soraya. I'll answer 3 questions as well that have come from participants. The first is, I am assuming that this is just a general question, and I'll answer from Oxford's perspective. Can I use my English proficiency letter from my university? The answer is, it depends. So different departments have different flexibilities with regards to English proficiencies. If you are doing, for example, a master's in a humanities course where it's very crucial and important that you have a strong English and academic writing skills, they might be less flexible, might require you to do tests, while some departments are more flexible and can allow various things, for example, proficiencies, letters from the universities. In most cases, it will not be sufficient to just provide a letter. And so I'm saying that so that you're not disappointed. And then there's a question on, are master's degrees allowed? So in previous years, we were able to provide scholarships to students who already held master's degree. But starting from this application cycle, we will not be able to do that anymore. And so we'll only be considering applicants who do not already have a master's degree. And then the final question, before I do another skim through, is on the mentorship program itself, when and how people can apply. So the mentorship program is independently organized by the African Society at Oxford. And so they open the applications before the application to apply for scholarships come. So in terms of processes, you apply to the Africa Society Mentorship Program, and then they support you in getting admissions to Oxford. So I think one thing to do is, if you're applying this year or next year, do have a look at the African Society social media and website pages. I think if you just put on Google Oxford Africa Society, it will come up. And even if you're not plugged into the mentorship program, they do run a series of webinars. I think there's one that happened last week that is also available on their YouTube. So you can go and watch it back. They talk about personal statements. They talk about tailoring CVs. They talk about how to select the master's program you're going to apply to. So it's very helpful information. And the other thing to mention is regional groups also organize mentorship programs. So for example, if you are Zambian, look up the Zambia Oxbridge Society because they do offer mentorship. If you are Sudanese, the Sudanese community also offer a mentorship program. So look at the networks that exist within your country as well, and try and see it's likely that they might have something that they have in offer for supporting students who are applying for scholarships. I will stop there. I see one question. Let me just read it out loud before passing it back to Faithy for the final round. The question is, are students with proven leadership and community impact, but a third-class degree due to unforeseen circumstances also considered for admissions? Or is the focus still mainly on grades at Oxbridge? I will answer that from the Oxford perspective. The programs are quite rigorous and quite competitive. And I think the admissions into the university, they wouldn't admit someone if they know that if you come here, you might struggle. And so sometimes it's for the students' own benefit that they perhaps say reapply next year after you've gained skill 1, 2, or 3. So it's something to look at. But it's all the academic requirements will be outlined in the department's website. So for example, if you're applying for African Studies, when you click on the link to African Studies, it will show you what grades the minimum grades that are needed for that program. And also just to say that if the grades that you have do not meet the criteria for Oxbridge, there are a lot of universities that the Mastercard Foundation provides scholars programs through, not just in the UK, but also elsewhere. So there might be a university that might have the grade structure that you need. I will stop there, but before I pull Faithy, or maybe we'll go Faithy, Ian, and Soraya once more, and then I'll invite Awa and David to just share a few remarks if you have any, and then we'll wrap up the call. So this will be the kind of final round, but as I said, all of us have put our contact details, so this is definitely not the end of the conversation.
Great, thank you, Sepiso. I noted two questions, which I'll just quickly respond to. So one question was around whether we have masters in IT field. Yes, we do have one program. It's an online master's program called Data Science Technologies. So you can learn more about this program by visiting our website. The other very great question was around how we support people with disability, specifically with regards to the English language requirement. So we do encourage people with disability to apply to our program, and while doing so, we have also put in place reasonable accommodations at every stage of our application, as well as the study, the study period with the university. So yes, we would support people with disability to sit an English language test. Usually the provider we work with would evaluate the need and then make sure that even while the student is providing their proficiency or sitting the test, all these things are, their needs are put into consideration. Yeah, we also work with the disability services here at the university who support students who have various needs. Yeah. Ian, do you see any question?
I do, thank you. Yeah. Yes, so someone's noted that some of the scholars at Cambridge already have a master's degree. So that's because if you have a master's from an African institution, you're still eligible to apply for a master's at Cambridge. Second, oh yes, so this was a very similar question to the one Sepiso answered around not meeting the academic entry requirements. So yeah, same answer as Sepiso, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, I don't know of any cases in which that's happened. So you would have to meet the academic entry requirements of your chosen course to get in. And then the final one was around 2-year courses. So are 2-year courses eligible? Afraid not. I'm afraid it's 1-year master's courses of between 9 and 12 months to be eligible for the program. Thanks.
Thanks, Soraya. Do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. There was one question that I saw for Sciences Po. Can I provide one academic reference letter and one from employer or coach? You don't have to provide a letter for your references. Actually, you have to write in your application the email address of your referee, and they will receive a message directly from Sciences Po. So it's very important to choose wisely who are your referees, because you do not have access to what will be written about you. And also, so if you can have one employer or coach, it depends on your situation. Actually, if you have finished your studies since more than 5 years, then you should write to the admission team of Sciences Po to see if you're eligible for the recommendation of an employer and not to academic reference.
Thank you very much.
Sepiso, do you mind if I just jump in and answer one more that I've seen? There's a really good question. Thank you. So it's the one about colleges, actually. It hasn't come up yet. So I can answer this from Cambridge, though I know clearly, it's the same. Well, you need to choose a college at Oxford as well. So for Cambridge, you do need to submit or choose your college during the application process. And I fully appreciate that's quite a confusing thing to do. And you might not know much about the collegiate system. So there are resources to find out more. So essentially, Cambridge is a collegiate university. There are 31 different colleges. You'll be a member of one of these, which is where you'll live, you'll socialize, and you'll have some of your small group teaching sessions as well. All of the colleges have their own websites. So please do have a look and don't, as I know some scholars do, kind of leave this to the last minute and then choose one randomly. I understand that it's confusing, but there are three main things we kind of recommend bearing in mind. First is cost, because the cost of the different colleges varies quite a bit, and you will be paying your rent out of your living allowance. So just make sure that you won't have to use all of your living allowance on your rent. So think about cost. Think about facilities and what makes each college special, because there are some colleges that are specifically for women only, some are for more mature students only, some have incredible world-class sports facilities on site, many have chapels on site. So just have a think about what's important to you and how you might want to spend a bit of your downtime. Bear that in mind. And then third thing is location. So just have a look at where the different colleges are. Most of them, or many of them, are really, really central, in the center of town. Others will be a walk or a bike or a bus to your department or into town. So just have a look and think about where you might want to be. Thank you, Sapiso.
Thank you very much. And second everything you've said, Ian, with regards to Oxford as well. Our David, do you want to jump in and share any remarks based on the conversations we've had so far?
Hi, Sepi. No, I think good evening, everyone. My name is David. I work with Sepi at the University of Oxford and the Africa Oxford Initiative. I think mine would be just to say a big thank you to you guys for doing an amazing job taking us through the last 1 hour or so. Very insightful information, which I believe that our prospective applicants, our scholars, have found really useful. I think I would just want to encourage them to keep engaging with us. If there's questions that we've not answered, please reach out to us through our social media handles. We'll be happy to respond to those questions. And then this event has been streamed, so the recording will be available. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. I think that'll be my parting shot. So if you have this link, please share it out with your fellow networks, fellow colleagues, fellow scholars in the African continent. And looking forward to receiving applications from you guys. Back to you, Sepi.
Thank you very much, David. Awa?
Thank you so much, Sepi, for such an insightful session. And it's such a great idea that we have all universities on this call, so that scholars understand that you'll be getting, similar levels of support in different universities. And I'll just encourage you to take your time. The application processes are pretty hectic, I must admit, reason why we're encouraging you to put your energies in one application. Especially with a two-tier process, you'll be required to write a statement for your department. That's a statement, justifying why you're the best person for this course. And you'll be competing with applicants from all over the world, not just African applicants at the departmental level. So that's the opportunity to talk yourself up. If you have this accomplishment, do not feel shy to talk about them. That's what the department is looking to see. And just to say all the best with the process. And if you have any difficulties, reach out to us on LinkedIn. And like my colleague said, please share this opportunity with your friends and your colleague. And we look forward to receiving applications and working together to build this community of scholars that will drive sustainable futures on the continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, David and Awa, for those remarks. I know questions are still coming. I saw one on, does one need to prove their disability? At Oxford, if you say that we can't ask you to prove a disability. If you declare that you have a disability, then you just register with the Disability Advisory Service, and they would be the experts in terms of understanding your disability and providing that extra support. But anyway, keep the questions coming through the various channels and email addresses that we've shared, and then I'll pass it to Faithy, who will sort of close off the session. and also highlight some of the ways that we can continue to engage in the future. But thank you very much, all colleagues, for answering all these questions, and thanks participants for pasting all the questions. Faith, I'll pass it to you.
Great. Again, just to thank the team for the presentations today. Ian, Sepiso, Soraya, thank you for walking the potential applicants through the various stages of applications to your programs. And to all those who joined us today, thank you for creating time to listen to us. We'll be looking forward to receiving applications. This information, don't keep it to yourself. You do have maybe belong to networks of other young people who are very keen about advancing their education. Please share this information with them as well. If at all you have any further questions or any comments or just want to make inquiries about anything that hasn't been addressed in this info session, please reach out to us either on our socials or through our various emails which have been provided. Specifically at the University of Edinburgh, you can reach out to us by emailing mcfsp@ed.ac.uk. And finally, thank you to Chimomwe, who has been coordinating this process. And again, just reach out to us with any question. Yeah. We will be sharing the recording with all those who registered to attend this info session. And this session is also available, has been streamed on YouTube. So feel free to share the link with your friends and your colleagues as well. I do hope that you have a good rest of your day, and good luck with your applications. Goodbye.